Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to give it probably about 15 to 30 more seconds to let everyone get logged on and situated at this lunch hour, and then we'll get started. But thanks for joining us today. Awesome. Okay, with that, we'll get started. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. Welcome to our latest installment of Hireology's Quick Hit series. As a reminder, these are 20 to 30 minute digestible webinars designed to give you a quick overview of just a timely hiring topic. This quarter series is going to focus more closely on the Hireology app itself. Each session will cover a different feature to help you get the most of your subscription and learn to use Hireology like all our power users do, and ultimately help you build your best team. So today we're going to talk about turning your ATS into a CRM, so all the acronyms with Hireology. And with that, let's introduce ourselves. My name is Kristen Shantz. I'm your VP of Growth Marketing at Hireology. I have been here 5 wonderful years and love working with our customers and people like you to get the most out of our system. And my lovely co-host today, I'll turn it over to Mary.
Thanks, Kristen. Hi, everybody. I'm Mary Fries. I'm a Senior Customer Success Manager at Hireology. I basically serve as a consultant to our customers, making sure that you all are getting the most out of the platform you possibly can. And I see some familiar names on the chat. So hi, everybody.
Well, with that, I'm going to open it with a question, everyone, because we want to have fun. It's over the lunch hour and we appreciate your time. Hard to believe Halloween was just Monday. So go ahead and put in the chat what your favorite candy is that you receive at Halloween. And I'll open it to Mary first while you guys are all chatting in to hear what her favorite Halloween candy is. And I'll share mine and then we'll go from there.
I'm a huge fan of Butterfingers. It's probably the messiest candy you could choose, but it's delicious. Huge fan, 10 out of 10.
Love
it. What about
you,
Kristen?
I am a Reese's peanut butter cup fan. I love the holiday version. So give me an egg on Easter, a pumpkin on Halloween, a Christmas tree at Christmas. But I think we both have a tendency for the more peanut buttery flavored chocolate candies, which is great. And seeing some familiar ones there too as well. So let us get started. We have some short content and I do want to make sure if there's questions, you can do that. You know, what we want to start with on top of a candy question is we just want to pose this question at a high level. How do most of businesses make their hires today? It's not from one source in particular, like Indeed, but rather it's all about relationships. So if you think about it, this is how businesses make the very best hires today. I personally am a Hireology referral and have never looked back since I got that phone call in July of 2017. It's becoming less common to post a job and have dozens of people you've never met before knocking on your door, begging for the job. You hire one and then you're done. Most of the time, there's other channels mixed in there, other people you've already been in touch with that maybe you met in passing, or maybe individuals who were candidates for a different job but weren't a right fit. Maybe internal candidates, former employees, or referrals from existing and former staff. While of course, job boards and more traditional channels are a critical aspect of great hiring strategy today, we could not live without them and can be a great way to introduce you to candidates you eventually hire. It's becoming less common for these channels to lead to direct hires right away or be the sole source of talent. More often than not, your best hires come from the relationships you've built and nurtured over time. Let me give you one example. Let's say you have a new role you need to fill. You post it on a job board and other channels and start getting candidates from there. You also reach out to some candidates you didn't hire for a previous role who you liked but weren't quite the right fit. You also shared the job internally and started driving some referrals. And you consider some internal moves too. You now have dozens of candidates. So which candidates out of those are you going to be more likely to hire? Chances are the people you've met before rather than the brand new candidates who are essentially strangers to you. Someone you've interviewed already who came through a job board months ago for a different job, or maybe a referral from a top performer in your company, or even an internal tie from a different team. These candidates you already are familiar with 9 times out of 10 are going to make the better hire. As someone who leads a team here at Hireology, I will tell you 1/3 of my team are internal moves and the other 1/3 are referrals, and only 1/3, thankfully, love them all, equally has come from job boards or other organic sources. So we all find different ways to build our teams and make relationships and go from there. So let's look at it from a candidate's perspective. I could wax poetic about it from a hiring manager, from a leader, but in a recent survey of more than 6,000 job seekers, we found that 92% of candidates say they're most likely to accept a job if a trusted friend or acquaintance vouch for the company. Again, it's those relationships. Someone they know is connecting them and vouching for the company, making them more confident in the role in the organization as an employer. Basically, a rounding error separates us from most people. 10 out of 10, it's basically a little 9.5 out of 10 would choose somewhere where they know someone else works because they're looking for that validation, that word of mouth, the same way we do consumer shopping today. But it's not just referrals that make up your network of connections. It's also former employees in their network. 74% of the job seekers we surveyed said they'd be open to returning to a company they previously worked for. I like to call these people boomerangs. And of course, if they're open to working for you again themselves, chances are they're also likely to refer their networks to your open roles too. We have a few of those at Hireology. I know it's a very active source for a lot of our clients. A lot of people will, go to see if the grass is greener. And I'll tell you, 9 times out of 10, that grass isn't always greener. And so you want to build that network and keep in contact with people to bring them back. So let's take a step back here. We know that great hires almost always come from great relationships. So why does the typical hiring process work against that concept? Traditionally, the process goes like this. You guys know this. You open a new job, you post it on job boards or other channels, you get some candidates, you go through your hiring process and pick one of them for the role, then you close the job and start over for the next role from scratch. It's very linear and it's very singular, focused on one role and one set of candidates, and then you move on and start over. It doesn't really leave room for this idea that anyone you interact with from a talent standpoint needs to be constantly nurtured and engaged with. But I wanted to challenge you to think about your talent acquisition and manage it like you might customer acquisition and management. Let's take one of the most well-known brands when it comes to consumer marketing, Apple. Apple has totally nailed the concept of marketing to new customers over the years with iconic commercials and billboards. Everything from silhouette dancing ads to the Mac versus PC to even some of the newer ads like the shot on the iPhone billboards you often see in cities. But Apple, like most consumer brands, doesn't stop marketing to you once they've made a sale or once they've convinced you that their products are better than their competitors. They nurture you over time. They know what phone you have and when you're up for an upgrade and can market you the latest and greatest model. They also know where they might be able to upsell you with different products like an Apple Watch or an iPad, and they target you with all kinds of user tips to keep you using your products and thus happy and willing to buy more. This exact model can be applied to your recruiting, hiring, and talent management processes. Instead of approaching hiring from a linear perspective, it's important to look at it more like a flywheel, where we are constantly engaging with them and nurturing a database of connections. So much of like from a sales perspective, where you have prospects at all levels of the funnel, new customers, long-term loyal customers, and formerly churned customers, you're communicating with these individuals at all times, different messages designed to do different things like get to know you better, make an initial purchase, start using your product, get them to use it better, give them education, buy more from you, and ultimately return to you after leaving. This same can be said for your different connections for talent. You have applicants. Totally get it. We're building that top of funnel. We're using job boards. We're doing all of the things. Then we have candidates, both current and former, someone that you've put through the entire process already, decided to pick someone else because you had top talent competing for that position, or they chose another position, or someone who's just gone through the process recently. New employees, people who are going through onboarding, veteran employees, your longstanding members of your team, and then alumni. You can nurture those individuals with different messages to have a continuous pipeline of talent. Maybe your veteran employee is a good fit for new roles, or your alumni can connect you with their peers once they leave. Or candidate for a previous role can get hired for a different role later down the line. If you can get this constant cycle of nurturing and engaging right over time, you'll always have someone bubbling up that's a fit for whatever new role you can open up. We're calling this talent relationship management. The key here is that approaching hiring this way also helps you decrease time to hire. If you're looking to hire someone you already know and like, it's going to take you less time to get to know them and feel confident in your decision. You're essentially doing all the formalities of hiring well ahead of the actual hire, making it much easier to get the right people in the right seats faster when new roles open up. So I wanted to dig a little deeper into the middle circle of that flywheel, or the different ways you can approach your database of relationships for recruiting, and hiring. The first is referrals. You hear Hireology talk about it all the time. It's a great source of talent. I'm a referral. Mary, were you a referral? Or how did you
No.
come to Hireology? No.
Not a referral.
Not a referral. You see, everyone comes from different places. So essentially, referrals is about turning your existing employees into recruiters by incentivizing them. Customizable referral campaigns, using text, email, QR codes, which has been really popular, to refer their networks to your open roles in exchange for a payout. We have someone who's taken 1 million vacations this year based on just the compensation she's received for referring people to Hireology. Again, it's all about relationships, and most of your top performers are connected with other top performers just like them. So why not tap into that market instead of trying to find someone you don't already have connection with? You can also use this same concept to drive retention by promoting top performers and encouraging internal mobility. So think about the same concept of sending targeted campaigns to your employees about referrals, but instead sending campaigns looking for internal candidates. Maybe you have an open role that you know would be best suited for someone that is already familiar with the org. This is a great way to do this. Plus, we know that employees today deeply value career growth and meaningful work. So showing that you're constantly open to giving internal employees more opportunities can go a long way in promoting retention. I'm going to keep using marketing as an example. We just opened a role for our customer marketing team, and we are saying that we prefer an internal hire. We want someone who is super familiar with Hireology, has talked to our customers a bunch so that they can scale that role and scale. It's going to be a great career opportunity for someone internally, and we would rather do that for them. And then finally, you can reconnect with previous, what we call silver medal candidates, those who were were in the running for a previous role but didn't get it. This is a great way to quickly fill open roles after you've already vetted most of those people and you liked them in the past. You can really skip a lot of the formalities and get them hired fast. Or maybe you reconnect them with former employees or boomerang employees, as I mentioned before. When someone leaves your org, you'd want to just sever that relationship unless that person wasn't a great performer. But most of the time you lose people you would rather stay on board. So especially in this job market, the people we're losing are going to other opportunities with more money or what they think looks like a better opportunity. And they're finding out that it's not. And so those are great people to bring back in the org. Why would you not stay in touch with them? Maybe a few months or years down the line, they're ready for a different role in your org, or they can send people they know your way and vouch for you as an employer. You're probably when we can do some of these things. The good news is we already have the system in place that allows you to do referrals really well. And that's as many of you are with Hireology referrals, you can also send custom campaigns to teams internally sharing information about open roles and bonus payouts. So imagine using your referral system that you're telling them about open roles to refer and telling them, hey, we have this position for you to apply to. And connecting referrals to over 40 plus payroll and HRIS systems now, that we can make this super streamlined for you so you're not having to upload and download different CSV files. As for other components about internal mobility and re-engagement, we're building it out going into 2023 and capturing feedback from the power users along the way. Stay tuned for more information, but I do want to take a minute to show you what you can do in Hireology today, and that's why Mary's here as it relates to TRM. So first and foremost is referral campaigns. You can select your audience, maybe it's a specific segment of your team, type your message, choose your channel. This is a text message from one of our recruiters to the rest of the team, and you can automate these as well. So maybe you want to feature a different role open weekly, or you want a message about the referral program that automatically goes out to new hires. And you'll see here, you can do the same thing with email. Hey, here are the open jobs we want. Here's the spotlighted job of the week. You can reach them where they want to be reached. And we all know today that that is a mixed bag between texting and email, but everyone wants it mobily optimized. Like I mentioned earlier, referrals are just one piece of the puzzle. So in the future, we want to enable the concept across your entire database of connections. So maybe that's former applicants, silver medalists, former employees, etc. You can tailor your message accordingly to maybe you want people to reapply to different jobs, or you want to drive referrals from former employees. Whatever it is, we're going to make it really easy for you to customize and automate those campaigns and nurture that database. We've all been in that situation before where we had one role open and 2 candidates we loved and really, really struggled. Excuse the bad joke with that Sophie's choice between those 2 candidates. Now you have an opportunity to go after that second candidate that you didn't pick for a different role. TRM, or turning your ATS into our CRM, is more than just campaigns. Using Hireology today, you can customize tags to people in your database in order to better sort and search for them later when your roles open up. For example, in the screenshot here, you can add a tag for people who are willing and able to work weekends, which makes it easier to then generate a list of candidates you can work weekends when you have already have met through interviews for previous roles and can target this group with messages. Imagine you're having a hard time staffing your agency on a Saturday, and you can pull up a list of everyone who is willing to work on a Saturday and send them a campaign saying, hey, we have a new role open. Would you be interested? Or you're a dealership looking for technicians who only want to work the morning shifts Tuesday through Friday. You tag them in the interview process and you'll be able to surface them. It's basically, as a marketer, it's like segmentation. Here you'll see how you can search and filter your database in Hireology by all kinds of filters that you can customize yourself, whether that's availability, skills, experience, interests, certifications. You can make all kinds of custom lists of previous candidates who fit the bill for new roles and target this group with automated campaigns. So with that, I'm going to give you a case study, and then I'm going to ask Mary to share some examples of customers that she works with on the day-to-day basis. So as many of you know, Hireology work with 1 in 4 dealerships, automotive retail nationwide. One of our dealership customers, like so many out there, was struggling to connect with and hire highly skilled roles like technicians and service advisors. There's a 100,000 person shortage for those roles as it exists today. So they decided to start running campaigns to leverage silver medalist candidates from previous roles. So here's what they did. Kept an ongoing database of candidates for prior technician and service advisor roles, meaning they already knew a list of candidates that were pre-selected with the skills that they were looking for. They nurtured this group via mass texting and email campaigns, sending messages about open roles, showcasing the company's employment brand, and generally just staying in touch with them. Here's what we have going on today in our market. Here's the event that we're throwing for all of our employees. When new roles opened up, they target that group first. And as I mentioned before, these candidates had already been vetted previously, so it made the hiring process that much faster and easy. And they were able to get these candidates hired and onboarded than if they had been net new. So far, they've hired 3 technicians and 2 service advisors in the past year using this process. Imagine how much faster. If you could save, 2 to 5 days and shaving this down by just going back to that pool of talent, think about the relief that would give you, or the time from that standpoint. So with that, I'm going to turn it to Mary. Mary, do you have a couple other stories you could share with this group? And then we'll see if we have any questions today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm thinking of one of my customers. They work in the home care space, and they've been using Employ Us since January 1st. That's when they came on board and launched with us. Since then, they have gotten about 200 referrals out of the system, and they've hired 31 of them. They've had great conversion, and they've been using the system in really, really interesting ways. So not only have they been leveraging the system to get referrals, they've also been doing retargeting campaigns in the system. They have about 8,000 past applicants loaded into the system, and as new roles open, they're sending out email and text campaigns, mostly airing towards text campaigns because they get really, really good engagement. So they've been leveraging those past applicants and making hires through that channel as well. They're getting super creative in the system. They've also been doing, just communications to their staff. We can also send out emails and texts that are just announcements, ways of staying in touch with your current staff and keeping them engaged. And as a quick example, when the hurricane was moving through Florida, they sent out a mass text campaign, letting everyone know the plan of action, linking out resources, and keeping everyone informed. So there's so many different things that we can do within this platform to help leverage your current staff, past applicants, and keep people engaged in your process.
I love that. I think it's more than just that. And I think, going back to past applicants, that you've spent so much time and money, and I know Mary's helped so many of you do that to build that funnel. Re-engaging them is just a better use of resources. And then if you keep your employees engaged, that helps you drive retention, that helps you keep you staffed, so you're not constantly have to build top of funnel. So you're truly moving into a full marketing wheel, which is, cycle from that standpoint. With this,
yeah, go ahead, Mary. Yeah. One other comment here, as we're considering this, maybe we're not currently doing this. If just going back a couple slides, when we were talking about the tagging, I would encourage everyone on this call, if we're not tagging, to start tagging, because we can easily pull reports with that information. Also use disposition codes. That's a great way to weed out people that we absolutely don't want to re-engage with. We can pull reports on the back end for that. Lists of people, make sure that we're not including folks that ghosted us for interviews and or maybe aren't eligible to work at your company. So I would encourage everyone to leverage the platform to stay organized and make sure that our data is clean and that we can run re-engagement campaigns and target those past applicants accurately.
I love that. Yeah. As we go to build more of these feature sets, now is the time to get that data clean and keep it organized on that front. Mary, with the clients that you work with, what are common tags that you see people use, or the best disposition codes to, stay organized if people wanted to go put this in practice even this afternoon?
That's a great question. So I would say for tagging, people are using, weekends, bilingual. Really, you can get creative with your tagging. It's mostly, and then for disposition codes, I would say a lot of people don't have them enabled at all. So
Okay.
first step is turning them on, and you can do that by going to the upper right-hand corner, settings, and then you'll see a tab for disposition codes. You can either make them optional or required. I make them optional to test them to see if you like them, but I think you're going to, so maybe even just skip and make them required.
I love it. We've got some time, and I know it's everyone's lunch hour, so I appreciate it. For our attendees on the call, you've got Mary and myself. Mary, talks to people on the daily basis. Any questions for us or any comments? Is anyone using tagging or disposition codes today that wants to share in the chat anything they're doing, and I can kind of share with the group?
I just opened the chat and saw everyone's comments about candy. Now I want some candy.
Right. I'm not seeing, are you seeing many chats coming in there, Mary, at this point on this? Or is everyone just so focused on getting some chocolate as their after webinar snack?
Chocolate. It might take a second to type some stuff in there, but
okay, great.
Oh, and you know what? I just realized we didn't explain what disposition codes are within Hireology.
That would be good,
So
yeah.
if anyone is typing a question, feel free to keep going while I tell you about it. Disposition codes will pop up when you go to decline a candidate, and it'll ask you to select a reason why you're declining them. That list, we do have a bunch of canned or standardized disposition codes in there already. You can also customize them if there's a bucket that you would like to put people in that doesn't currently exist, you can totally add that. But to Kristen's point, as we're building out all of this awesome functionality, make sure that you start now coding people and making sure that you're putting them into the appropriate buckets, as I like to call them.
I love it. Any comments from anyone? If not, I'll let everyone get back to their day. I know it's the start of November, which is hard to believe. And I'm sure you all have things to do heading into the weekend. That sounds great. Well, thank you everyone for spending your time with us. If you have any questions, always reach out to info@hireology.com. We're here to help, and have a great rest of your week. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Kristen.